I'm going to tell you something that most language apps will never say out loud. Learning a language takes years. Not months, not weeks, years. And you already know this. Maybe you just started learning a language and you don't even know where to begin, but you can tell this is a big mountain to climb. Maybe you've been learning one language for years and you're still not at the level you'd like to be. Or maybe you've learned a few languages already, but every new one feels harder and more scattered than it should. Or worse, it comes at the expense of your other languages. Here's the thing. Most people spend thousands of hours grinding away with no idea if they're even going in the right direction. It's not that they're not motivated. It's not that they're bad at languages. It's not that they missed some one simple trick to get fluent in 3 months. It's that the current methods are set up to fail. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You decided to start learning a new language. Hooray! So you download Duolingo and you do it every day. But after a while, you realize you're not really making progress. So you decide to get serious. And next thing you know, you're taking a class and you're doing the workbook exercises and you're watching videos over lunch and listening to podcasts when you're cooking. And you're also trying to read a chapter a day. And you're also trying to motivate yourself to find some time to do your 30 Anki cards. And then you remember you have to make 5 new ones. And by the end of the day, you're exhausted and somehow not even sure if you're actually getting better. Everything is disconnected, overwhelming, and inevitably life happens and your routines fall apart. Best case scenario, you're back to just doing Duolingo, hoping eventually that works. But this is like the language learning equivalent of trying to get in shape by going to the gym every single day for 3 hours and doing every machine as hard as you can. If you do that long enough, yes, you will eventually get in shape, but we can all agree this sounds like a terrible way to do so. It would be so much better to have a structured routine, doing the highest leverage exercises that you enjoy at a volume you can maintain for years, preferably for the rest of your life. And it's the same thing with language learning. So a little about me, I love languages too much. You only need to say 2 sentences in a new language for me to fall in love with it completely and immediately want to learn it. With normal methods, it would take me over 100 years to learn all the languages I currently want to learn. So I was faced with a decision. Either I give up on most of the languages I want to learn, or I develop a more efficient system for learning languages. One that helps me learn more in less time. One that helps me learn all the languages I want to learn, big and small. And one that helps me improve all my languages, including those I already speak, to truly advanced levels. One that I can keep doing every single day, no matter how much life happens. And so that's exactly what I built with Phrasing. One app, one great experience. I just open it up and do languages. And since I started using it, I have made more progress in less time than even I thought possible. The best part? The same efficiency principles I implemented work whether you're learning 1 language, 2, or 10. Imagine that in a couple of years, you're not still scrolling Duolingo, but you're actually fluent in Spanish and conversational in Italian. And you have a real foundation in Japanese, or you can read Arabic, or you can understand Rumi in the original Farsi. And now imagine that you got there in less total time than you're currently spending on 1 language right now. This isn't fantasy. This is exactly what Phrasing was built to do. Today, I'm going to show you why I've been able to use Phrasing to not only seriously learn multiple new languages, Croatian, Turkish, Japanese, and Arabic, the last 2 being the hardest languages for English speakers to learn, but also improve the languages I've already learned, Dutch, French, Italian, and Portuguese, while dabbling in over a dozen other languages, from Welsh to Maltese to Sanskrit to Cantonese, all in less than an hour a day. No other app can do this. No other method can do this, but you can. And in this video, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to go over what you've been getting wrong about language learning and how you can fix it. And stick around to the end because we'll talk about learning multiple languages and why it's actually less crazy than you might think. One of the most common things I hear from people is, I'm just not good at learning languages. If you can understand what I'm saying, if you've ever had a conversation with anybody, You are a natural at learning languages. Language is fundamental to the human condition. The reason most people feel this way, though, is because they weren't good in language class. Esoteric grammar practice, huge conjugation tables to memorize, endless drills and vocab lists with the world's most dry, boring, sanitary sentences. The fact that this didn't work for you is entirely normal. It's your brain working as it should, tuning out the boring information. This is completely opposite of how we learn. It's based on concepts called skill acquisition theory and mass practice, which have been thoroughly debunked. There are demonstrably better ways to learn a language. And phrasing uses two scientific principles not only to replace textbooks, but to blow them out of the water. The first is called the generation effect. If you were to come up with 10 sentences and we both had to learn them, you would far outperform me. This is due to the generation effect, and it's been shown that when you decide the sentences you're learning, you'll innately learn more from those sentences. Courses and textbooks rely on predetermined sentences, meant to be generalizable to everybody, but ultimately end up being useful to nobody. The second principle we rely on is called category induction. Phrasing works by attaching a grammar explanation to every single word and making it completely optional. As you learn words and phrases in the language, you'll naturally start to notice some patterns and naturally start to have some questions. This part is called category induction, where subconsciously your brain will start performing pattern recognition. Again, languages are fundamental to the human condition. You will do this naturally. And when this happens, you can just tap on a word and get a clear, simple explanation. Grammar and conjugations stop becoming something to overcome, but something you enjoy because it's helping you answer questions that you naturally had. So no, you're not bad at learning languages. Your language learning classes were bad at teaching. But if we're all such naturals, then why even bother studying? I heard I can just watch videos and I'll achieve native-like fluency. This is the most popular language learning advice on the internet right now. Just watch videos and automatically pick up a language. No studying, no memorizing, just kick back, relax, and enjoy. Now, I don't want to disparage input in general. If you want to learn a language, chances are you will have to do quite a bit of input. It is critical to learning a language. But learning a language just from watching videos, it takes thousands of hours, after which many people still struggle to form the most basic of sentences, let alone have conversations. The volume of content needed is only available in less than a handful of languages. And let's not forget to mention how mind-numbingly boring it is to watch content at a 5-year-old level and you still only understand half of it. It is truly infuriating. However, the biggest problem with this approach is that it's just wildly inefficient. Comprehensible input leverages what I call organic spaced repetition. You are relying on the natural frequency of words to make sure that the most important ones repeat enough for you to remember. But this guarantees you will see some words way too much, and guarantees you will see some words not nearly enough. You will end up forgetting so much. It relies on luck and perseverance and sheer brute force volume. That's why even in the most optimistic timelines, they say this method takes 1,000 to 2,000 hours for basic levels of fluency. Let's pretend like this number is accurate, which again, I've seen so many people complete this and not be able to construct a single sentence. That's nearly 3 to 6 hours a day of study to do it in 1 year. But it's the 21st century. We have math and smartphones and algorithmic spaced repetition. That means that we can calculate exactly how often you personally need to study any given word in any language. Just like Instagram or TikTok can pick the perfect video for you, phrasing can pick the perfect word to show you at any given moment. Conservatively, users can expect to learn 200 items per year for every minute a day they spend doing spaced repetition. Now, several users report double or triple that number, but let's focus on the 200. That's 3,000 words you can learn in just 15 minutes a day, 6,000 words in just 30 minutes a day. And with the right setup, you can double or triple these numbers. Why is this important? Estimates indicate that basic fluency requires about 3,000 words. Now, I'm not trying to say that knowing 3,000 words means you're fluent. Just like watching 1,000 hours of input will not mean that you're fluent. But while the destinations are comparable, the time spent is nowhere near close. It is over 10 times more efficient to use algorithmic spaced repetition. It is an order of magnitude less time to reach a comparable level. And I haven't even mentioned the best part. Algorithmic spaced repetition works in such a way that it guarantees you remember every single word you learn. If you ever add a word to any spaced repetition system, you can rest easy knowing that you will remember it, so long as you keep showing up. So I've sold you on spaced repetition, or at least piqued your interest. That's great. But does that mean you have to do flashcards? No. Phrasing is a spaced repetition application, but it is not a flashcard application. Phrasing combines spaced repetition, language acquisition, and intentional design to create something new, something you are going to love, something you will keep showing up to use. Maybe you've tried Anki or Closemaster and it just didn't click for you, you just couldn't get in a routine. Or you did get in a routine and it worked for a little while, but no matter how hard you tried, you just could not keep up the habit. Maybe you tried it and you remembered words in your studies, but when it came time to use them, crickets. Or you heard a word that you didn't recognize in context, only to see it show up in your reviews a few days later and realize that you've learned this word. You should have known it. If you've been really astute, maybe you've realized that when using these applications, sometimes you only need to hear the first half of the first word in a sentence, and you immediately know what the answer is. There's no thinking, there's no understanding, just this Pavlovian memorization. This is called surface cue dependence, where you're memorizing the card, not the language underneath. The problem is that these are flashcards. Prompt on the front, answer on the back. Every card is completely isolated. Every review is scheduled with this unforgiving mathematical precision. The UI is as brutalist as the experience. They could be printed out on paper and nothing would change. But phrasing takes spaced repetition to a whole new level. In phrasing, every single word is interconnected via our language graph. When you complete a review, we're not updating your recall of some isolated card. We're updating your recall of dozens of different features across all of your current and all of your future expressions. Phrasing leverages contextual and encoding variability to make sure that the words you learn are applicable. This means that you can recognize them in practice and recall them in speech. Phrasing implements variable practice to completely do away with surface cue dependence. You get tested on multiple words in each expression. You get tested in multiple expressions for each word. And not only that, but you get tested on combinations of words, pairs, triplets, and even whole phrases. Phrasing grows as you grow and tests your recall of the language behind every expression. And phrasing is built around the zone of proximal development, a well-tested theory that states that there is an optimal difficulty for learning. Review sessions are never too hard, never too easy. This is essential, and not just for maximal progress, but for building a maintainable and sustainable habit. Everything in phrasing adapts to you, to your memory, to your performance, to your learning speeds, to your day-by-day, and even to your ability in an individual language. In fact, the entire experience adapts to your style and reviews based on your current mood. Are you distracted, tired, or just have a few minutes? No problem. Open the app, treat reviews like flashcards, and just breeze through a couple. You can work on your memory. Are you busy and preoccupied, maybe cleaning or cooking, and you just want to listen to your sentences and repeat? You can do that, hands and input free. Practice your comprehension and your speaking. Are you at your desk and you have 45 minutes and you want to seriously study? We've got you covered. Tap around on words, read explanations, see how phrases decompose and connect to each other, and practice the audio. No matter whether you show up every day for an hour, or every other day, or just for 10 minutes, phrasing will adapt to whatever you put in, and always shows you the most optimal review at any given moment, with algorithmic precision. All of these are interconnected, and your progress is tracked and optimized across however you choose to review. You can mix and match however you want. And together, this enables you to learn from long native level sentences from day one, meaning you need remarkably few expressions to make incredible progress. And because these sentences are so long and so varied, it's less like memorization and more like language acquisition. With all of this in place, it puts you in a really unique position to learn languages. You don't need to learn the grammar up front. You don't have to expose yourself for hours a day. You're not just drilling and memorizing words. Instead, you're learning a language naturally, with algorithmic efficiency in a very atomic manner. Once you can do this, it becomes really easy to learn multiple languages. Now, why would a sane person want to learn multiple languages? There are actually several reasons. Even if you just want to learn one language, exploring a related language can actually accelerate your progress. Or maybe you're like me and you already speak multiple languages. And every time you try to improve one or add a new language, it feels like it comes at the expense of another. Maybe you want to learn multiple languages and the pressure of needing to finish one in order to get to the others is your biggest source of friction. Once you can learn multiple languages without any additional overhead, it's actually really beneficial. First of all, it releases a bunch of pressure. You can make progress in all your languages without sacrifice. You also get the benefit of years of exposure to a new language. You can take advantage of time. Those years of constant daily exposure provide something that no amount of cramming can replace. And in my experience, learning a related language can actually help you progress more in your primary language. Take, for example, French and Italian. When I was learning French, everything seemed so arbitrary. There were so many rules and constructions and grammar patterns, and everything was so foreign, and honestly, it just felt weird. But when I started learning Italian, everything just clicked. These weren't weird foreign language rules anymore. Now, if anything, English was the language that was weird for not having these. And if you think about it, this is actually really common sense. Seeing multiple examples of the same principle really helps for understanding. This goes for every field, and languages are no different. Once you start to make progress in these related languages, you can even start to anchor these off of one another, improving your recall and retention speeds even more. But most compelling is the reason that you get to take advantage of some insanely powerful memory techniques, namely interleaving, spacing, and batching. Doing a few reviews in one language, then a few reviews in a second language, then switching back and going back and forth has been repeatedly proven to increase your recall by up to 50%, even with the same amount of study time. Even if you're just dabbling in a language, just 2 to 3 minutes a day, you're learning the sounds, the writing system, a few hundred words over a year or two, internalizing grammar. You're making a ton of progress in an additional language without measurably detracting from your primary ones. And with phrasing, each language is configurable at its own speed. You can speed languages up, slow them down, or even put them on maintenance mode. When your priorities change, you update them in phrasing, and all of your habits can stay the same. So in summary, you are good at languages. Everyone is. Even if you struggled in language class, that was the fault of the method and not your abilities. You don't need to immerse endlessly. You can take advantage of math and science and technology to dramatically cut down on your study time and make language learning a sustainable habit for the long term. And you can love spaced repetition. Spaced repetition goes so far beyond flashcards. It's simply a data point that can be used to optimize your time. When used correctly, it can actually be used to make you enjoy your reviews. And you can learn multiple languages. Even just a little exposure to another language can actually accelerate your rate of progress versus just one language alone. Now's the point where you're thinking there must be a catch. Some course or tons of setup or a high price tag or limited number of languages. And that's where you'd be wrong. Phrasing makes it dead simple to learn more in less time. One app, one habit, unlimited fluency. Over 100 languages and growing. Less than 5 minutes to get started. And available on any device with a browser. Starting at less than $6 per month. With any of our plans, you get access to all of the following. All plans get access to unlimited reviews with the best algorithm you will ever use. Adaptable, grow as you learn, hyper efficient, goes far beyond flashcards. It's so enjoyable and built around the human experience that we call it humane SRS. It's as addicting as Instagram and as effective as Anki, or more effective. The more you use it, the more it learns about you and the better it gets. All plans get access to a limited number of custom expressions, where every word is analyzed, explained, grouped, aligned, and interconnected via our language graph. Because expressions are so long and contain so much information, you need surprisingly few to make serious progress. All plans get access to over 100 demo expressions to help you hit the ground running from day one. These were handwritten by me to cover the essentials of a language. All plans get access to the ability to transcribe audio and video and turn any native content into expressions, so you can create accurate expressions targeted to the content you love. All plans get access to our chatbot Sterling to help you set up perfect expressions in seconds, so you can spend more time learning and less time managing. All plans get access to our growing number of languages. And all languages get the same treatment. It doesn't matter if you're learning Spanish or Cantonese, you'll get a premium experience for all languages, big and small. If you're learning a minority language, you know just how huge that is. And all plans get access to Phrasing HQ, our private Telegram community, so you can get support, nerd out, share your wins, and learn from other users. I'm in there every day answering questions personally about the product and sharing my experience. And you get all of this for less than $6 per month. You can even try out the application for free with our demo expressions, available on Phrasing.app.com. The whole app was built by hand over the past 4 years by me, a career software engineer. While Phrasing does have AI features and the demo expressions were machine translated, not a single part of the app was AI generated. Every screen in the application was painstakingly designed to make sure that the experience is perfect. And most of the languages have been thoroughly tested, if not by me, then by existing users. Now, obviously, I believe this is the best way to learn a language. I have made more progress in more languages in less time than I ever thought possible. I was able to do all of this while building a business, using the application every single day, fine-tuning the experience. But you don't have to take it from me. Take it from some of my favorite users. Aaron is the most consistent user of Phrasing. He has the highest percentage of days using the application since he signed up, which is saying something because he's been around for a while and he has a better attendance than me. He's also always asking me super technical questions in our Telegram community, which I super appreciate because it gives me a chance to give the nerdiest answers, and I am always dying to explain how phrasing works. Anyways, this is what Aaron says. I'm a language enthusiast who has found spaced repetition to be an invaluable component of my learning strategy. But I've always been frustrated by the limitations of traditional spaced repetition systems and the diminishing returns of well-known quote-unquote flashcard methods. With Phrasing, I can study what matters to me in a living, truly human way, where it doesn't feel like it's working with words in a frozen state, separate from the living nature of languages. It's an interactive, essential part of my languages, exactly how they're meant to be studied. As new technologies like algorithms, LLMs, and text-to-speech emerged, I tried to combine these into a single study method on my own, but could never get these to work together. Phrasing has accomplished this in a seamless, intuitive, and most importantly, fun way. Words I learned jump to mind in my new languages, and I can see and hear these languages as meaningful units, even the parts I haven't studied. I already can't imagine language learning without Phrasing. Which, amazing words. Huge thank you to Aaron. And also, I have to say, he put flashcards in quotes, which I love because he hasn't seen this video or this script before this going out. And they're really not flashcards. They're really something more. They're really something different. So our next user testimonial comes from Logan. Logan, I often call Bugcatcher Logan in the Telegram channel. He was responsible for catching some of the gnarliest bugs in the early days. So if anyone has a bug-free experience, you can thank him. This is what he has to say about Phrasing. I've constantly tried to optimize my language learning. Instead of just engaging with the material, I would spend hours hunting for new apps, decks, or methods. I was always looking for a do-it-all approach. Tools like Anki really resonated with me, but I couldn't keep up the habit, and nothing really seemed to stick. Enter phrasing. I've been able to review old languages and add some new challenging ones. Languages feel alive, not just because of the audio, but because I can create expressions that have 20 plus relevant words. The repetition of full sentences means that I'm getting constant exposure to the structure of the language. Word by word notes let me zoom in to study what I need. And when I miss something, I don't stress because I know I'll see it again. Yeah, maybe phrasing won't teach me everything, but it's teaching me what I want to learn, natural language. So when I go to speak, I've got hours and hours of listening and speaking practice backing me up. So another awesome review by another awesome community member. Thank you so much, Logan. So whether you're learning one language or several languages, I'm confident that you can learn more in less time with phrasing. If you're new to a language, the experience is a fantastic way to get started, and you will have hit the ground running as quickly as possible. If you already speak a language, I'm confident you'll start making progress from day one, no matter your level. No training of the application, no skipping of lessons, just sign up, create expressions, and you will start learning something new today. And I am just getting started. I have so many cool things coming down the line that I cannot wait to share with you guys. Of course, any future updates to the application will be free to all of our users. So head over to Phrasing.app.com today and get set up in just a few minutes. And I'll see you around in Phrasing HQ. To fluency and beyond.